Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. It's your boy Chris. It's another amazing episode of Financipation. This channel is all about making money, saving money, building generational wealth, and financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. On this channel, everybody, I give you a six-figure MBA level worth of investing in financial knowledge for free here on YouTube. And the things that people typically spend hundreds of thousands of dollars learning in grad school, I give to you for free here on Financipation. And as a guy who has an MBA, I love what I'm doing because I'm basically giving you the same things that I learned in grad school. Before I get started, I also want to give a shout out to one of my sponsors, Killer Solutions. If you need digital marketing, website development, or something to essentially edit your YouTube videos, they're the best in the business of meeting all of your digital needs. Okay. Hey guys, I'm gonna keep it real with you, okay? I read typically 99% of the comments that you all leave in the comments section of my podcast. And it really makes me happy because a lot of the times I love the interaction. I love generally kind of the questions that you ask. And I got a very, very cool question from my financial advisor named Vishad Sharma. And this is what he asked me, okay? Hello, Chris. My name is Vishad Sharma, and I own more than $50 million of real estate. And I've been a financial advisor with Fidelity Investments for over 20 years now. And I absolutely love your channel and the knowledge that you give on Financipation. Chris, you should make a video on the difference between being rich and being wealthy because they are not the same. All right, first off, thank you, Bashar, for that question. And yeah, let's delve into this because I agree with you. Being rich and being wealthy are absolutely not the same. Okay, and with that, let's get started. The first difference, everybody, between being wealthy versus being rich is that the wealthy understand the tax code, whereas the rich don't understand the tax code at all. This is one of those things, everybody, that absolutely blows my mind because when I meet high income earners that have literally no idea how to legally lower their taxes, to me, it is one of the world's great mysteries because if you make over six figures and you have literally no idea how to legally lower your taxes and everything, you are literally going to spend the next 40 years of your life overpaying in taxes. And you're going to waste millions of dollars when you could have legally done something to avoid that. You can get mad at the game or you can learn the rules of the game and play them yourself. I'll let you figure it out. And judging from the people who typically watch Financipation, they're the kind of individuals who want to learn the rules of the game so they can legally lower the taxes. Wealthy people, everybody, we understand the importance of investing our money into tax advantage accounts like the Roth 401k, the Roth IRA, and HSAs. We also understand the importance of starting businesses. Wealthy people understand the importance, everybody, of creating businesses with EIN numbers. And in these businesses, they work on the side so they can essentially write off the type of business expense that they're using to purchase to run these businesses. Wealthy people understand the importance of setting up irrevocable trusts for their estates so that when they die, they can pass their inheritance to their children without having to pay a probate or an estate tax on their property, thereby possibly saving them hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars because doing this, once again, can legally save your children millions of dollars when you essentially pass your estate and your income from your generation to theirs. This is essentially, everybody, the way the Rockefellers have remained billionaires for well over 100 years. So wealthy people understand the importance of learning the tax code, whereas rich people do not. Rich people use their Roth IRA money to go on skiing trips in Europe. Rich people use their 401k money to buy another pickup truck. Rich people use their HSA money to buy designer clothes and purses. And that is the reason that a lot of rich people live paycheck to paycheck and never get wealthy. Once again, everybody, taxes are one of those things that you can get mad at, or you can learn the rules of the game and learn how to play the game for yourself. Next, the next difference between being wealthy versus being rich is that wealthy people's money lasts centuries and for multiple generations. Whereas rich people, their money might last 30 or 40 years and it'll last one or two generations at most. So Elvis Presley was considered by some to be the king of rock and roll. And when Elvis died, his estate was worth $20 million and his estate blossomed to over $100 million. Elvis had one biological child, a daughter named Lisa Marie Presley, and she inherited Elvis's fortune and was literally set up for life. However, when Lisa Marie Presley died in 2023, she died bankrupt and penniless and died owing more than $10 million in debt. Bad investments, listening to poor financial planners, and paying one financial consultant over $700,000 in a lavish and reckless spending lifestyle over $2 million a year are the reasons that contributed primarily to Lisa Marie Presley dying penniless and broke. So despite being the king of rock and roll's daughter and having an estate of well over $100 million, in less than one generation, Elvis Presley's daughter died bankrupt and penniless. That's interesting because when you compare Elvis Presley's daughter to the Rockefellers, this is the difference. According to a 2023 financial study that was done by History.com, John D. Rockefeller was worth over 300 billion with a B dollars when he died in 1937. Rockefeller was actually the 10th richest man to ever live in history, and he was also the richest American of all time. During the height of his financial powers, Rockefeller owned 90% of the gas stations in America and literally had a monopoly on the gasoline industry in North America. So imagine everybody how rich you would be if in the modern day age, the same guy owned 90% of the gas stations and 90% of the electric charging stations in America. That's essentially how wealthy Rockefeller was. What's interesting, absolutely powerful about the Rockefellers, however, is that unlike Elvis Presley's daughter, Rockefeller created a living and an irrevocable trust, affectionately known as the Rockefeller Trust, that has literally kept his children, his great children, and his great grandchildren billionaires over the last 100 years. Nearly 100 years after his death, there are over 200 Rockefellers that are essentially in the billionaire class with a B because their great grandfather understood how to create generational wealth and how to teach his children how to keep the money that he made for them. Rockefeller is actually a financial hero of mine. And one major difference between being wealthy and being rich is that rich people like Elvis Presley and his daughter are only rich for 1 or 2 generations, whereas the Rockefellers, wealthy people, are wealthy for generations and for centuries. Next, the next difference between being wealthy versus being rich is that rich people stop getting paid as soon as they stop working, whereas wealthy people get paid long after they die and long after they retire. LeBron James is an amazing basketball player, and at worst, he is the 2nd or 3rd best basketball player of all time. According to Forbes.com, he was one of the world's first billionaire athletes, and he's made close to $400 million with an M just playing the game of basketball. But because LeBron is a better entrepreneur off the court, he is essentially a billionaire because he's made $400 million on the court, but he's made over $600 million as an entrepreneur. That's pretty crazy when you think about it. Due to his entrepreneurial business ventures with Blaze Pizza, Topps, Nike, Fenway Sports Group, and his ownership with the Pittsburgh Penguins and the English Premier League Liverpool, LeBron James, in many ways, is similar to Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, and Kobe Bryant. And they're in that rare stage of athletes where they're going to make significantly more money off the field or off the court than they did playing professional sports on it. And the next major difference, everybody, between being rich and being wealthy is that rich people stop getting paid as soon as they stop working. Whereas wealthy people like LeBron James, they keep getting paid long after they retire. Before I go any further, everybody, please hit the notification bell so that you know when I drop new content. Please hit that like button. Please share the video. And please subscribe because it helps the algorithm, okay? Next, the next difference between being wealthy versus being rich is that wealthy people are always financially literate, whereas rich people live paycheck to paycheck. I touched on this a little bit earlier, everybody, but one major difference, once again, between being rich and being wealthy is that being wealthy has almost literally nothing to do with a high salary. Once again, I met doctors here in Miami that make $300,000 a year and they're poor. And I met teachers that make $50,000 a year and they're going to retire wealthy. Why? Because it has nothing to do with your salary. And keep it honest, it's a story we've literally all heard a million times. A professional hockey player or a famous country music singer makes millions of dollars, but they die penniless and they die broke. A professional baseball player or a rapper or somebody makes over $100 million over a 10-year period selling albums or throwing a fastball, and then they file for bankruptcy 2 or 3 years after they drop the last album or after they retire from playing baseball. Or a high-salary doctor or a high-salary plumber makes $700,000 a year, but they live paycheck to paycheck, and when they die, their outstanding debts prevent them from leaving anything to their children. One reason, everybody, why average income earners become wealthy and retire as millionaires and others go broke is because wealthy people decide to read books, to listen to podcasts like Financipation, and become financially literate. Wealthy people, everybody, they set up irrevocable trusts to save money on estate taxes and on probate fees, and they use these vehicles to essentially pass wealth from one generation themselves to their children and to their grandchildren without having to pay taxes on them. Whereas rich people like Kurt Cobain or Prince, they died without having a will, which prevented them from leaving their children millions of dollars. Whereas wealthy people invest millions into boring and time-honored investments like real estate, like land, like property, like index funds, like real estate investment trusts, because they realize that boring but profitable, steady investments in things like the stock market or land almost always go up. especially over a 50 to 100-year period, and they go up significantly. Whereas the flip side of that is rich people, once again, like Churchill, and they invest their money into extremely sexy but extremely risky investments in startup ventures, and they lose all the money they made playing professional sports. Wealthy people, everybody, they typically understand the importance of becoming financially literate. And in a lot of ways, rich people and poor people do not. So the next major difference between being rich and being wealthy is that wealthy people, they take the time to become financially literate, whereas rich people do not. Next. The next major financial difference between being wealthy versus being rich is that wealthy people start generational businesses that they pass to their kids and grandkids, whereas rich people normally work for these businesses and don't start anything. So let me run through the list really quick, okay? Budweiser, Guinness, Heineken, MGD, Harley-Davidson, Ford, GMC, Chrysler, Toyota, Gucci, Nike, Adidas, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Train, York, Carrier, Pratt & Whitney, Sikorsky, Rockefeller. All these were businesses that were started nearly 100 years ago, and today their great-great-great-grandchildren are literally still eating off of what their grandfathers did and the brand that their grandparents created. Good example, okay? Lenny Dykstra in his heyday was one of the best and most exciting outfielders to ever play Major League Baseball. He was a three-time All-Star. He won a World Series in 1986 with the New York Mets, and over his illustrious career, he played center field for the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets, and he retired from the game of baseball in 1996. In 2008, Lenny Dykstra had a net worth of $58 million, and he had several business ventures in the magazine industry, a diverse real estate portfolio, and he even surprisingly had a financial advice column. Sadly, however, in 2009, Dykstra lost his house to foreclosure. He owed millions of dollars in taxes to creditors, and he served nearly 7 months in prison for money laundering, for indecent exposure, and for bankruptcy fraud. Lenny Dykstra played for the New York Mets from 1985 to 1989, and he played for the Philadelphia Phillies from 1989 to 1986. I think we would all agree that if he essentially made over $50 million playing professional baseball, he was a very rich man, but he wasn't wealthy. Because while he was playing for the New York Mets, the team was owned by a gentleman named Fred Wilpon. Fred Wilpon today is worth around $500 million. While Lenny Dykstra was playing for the Philadelphia Phillies, the team was owned by a gentleman named William Yale Giles. William Giles today is worth around $750 million with an M dollars. So, despite making, once again, over $50 million playing professional baseball, Bill Dykstra essentially worked for billionaires, and he is dead broke today. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the billionaires, the people he played for, those guys were wealthy. But his employees, the guys like Lenny Dykstra, they were just rich. Another example, Dr. Jerry Buss, the gentleman who owned the Los Angeles Lakers. His children are all billionaires today. But how many players have unfortunately played for the Los Angeles Lakers that are broke today? The next major difference between being rich and being wealthy is that wealthy people start businesses that they can pass down to their grandchildren and to their great-grandchildren, whereas rich people simply work in those businesses and they never start or own anything. So with that, I want to once again give a shout out to Cashapp, because I thought this was a phenomenal question to ask me, because there are generational differences between being wealthy versus being rich. And I wanted to touch on this subject because a lot of people don't understand it. To me, one of the most powerful things is that there are certain families in China and in Europe that you can look up that were the richest family in mainland China 1,000 years ago, and they're the richest family in mainland China today. There are families in Europe, specifically like in Italy and in Germany, that were the richest families in 1200 BC, and they're the richest families today, nearly 900 years later. Generational wealth, everybody, is just that. It's about creating something or creating a mindset and passing it on to your children and your grandchildren. And I'm a firm believer that we need to do a lot more of that as Americans. So once again, Bashad, thank you for this question, because there are significant differences between being rich and being wealthy. And I hope I touched on a lot of that in this particular podcast. With that, everybody, this channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth. And it's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. I have an MBA, and you can book a session with me at any point. The link is going to be below. I'm not giving everybody financial advice on this channel. You must make responsible decisions based on your thorough independent research that you do for yourself, okay? And thanks for listening, everybody. You can follow me at www.therealfinancipation.com. You can check me on Instagram at @thereal_financipation. My Spotify page is Financipation. My TikTok is Financipation. And my Facebook tribe is Financipation as well. Also, please check out my financial blog as well, Financipation. And check out some of my digital e-products below as well. Hit the notification bell. Please like, please comment, please share, please subscribe. It helps the algorithm. And I thoroughly enjoy giving you guys free content here on YouTube. It's your boy, Chris, everybody. I'm out. Peace.